What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Dudes Who Bet Daily. We're back for a Saturday. We're an hour early, like normal on these college football Saturdays. We have to go early because the games start right when our normal time starts. Papa Dude, we had a huge weekend last week on paper. This week on paper, it doesn't look quite as big. So I got to ask again, is this the week we see some unexpected upsets, or will everybody hold serve?
Well, I think there's always going to be an upset or two.
Yeah.
A lot of the big teams aren't playing this week,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that puts a little bit of a damper on it. So there may be some upsets in the top 25. I don't think any of the top-rated teams are going to go down this weekend. Maybe some in the 19 to 18, 17 range may lose, but I don't think we're going to see the big boys going down this weekend.
You might be right on that. We'll figure it out. So what we've got 3 ranked games, ranked versus ranked opponents. We'll talk about those. We've got 2 big races to talk about, and then we'll get into the best bets. So a jam-packed show today. We'll start off with Kansas at Texas. 2 ranked teams here. Texas number 3, Kansas number 24. They're into the top 25 now. Kansas, I think it looks better for them. BYU wins last night. Kansas, of course, beat BYU last week, but Texas still a 16-point favorite here. Total at 61. We're at Texas. Do the Longhorns cover?
This is an interesting game. It really is, because Kansas has went in there and played well when they weren't very good, and now they're pretty good. So in a way that might hurt them because Texas is going to be ready for them, whereas before they kind of snuck up on them a little bit, and Texas wasn't as good either. The line is probably about where it should be. I think KU is going to give them fits for a while because their offense is hard to stop. And it's one you don't see a whole lot when they run that quarterback as much as they do, and he's really good. Everybody says Texas's defensive front is really improved, and we'll see. I think they're going to cover, but I think it's going to be late. And I think if you take the 16, you're going to be sweating it right down to the last. I think this one's going to be pretty close for a while. But then I think Texas's skill and athleticism all over the place will outdo Kansas in the end.
I think Kansas will cover. I don't think they're going to win. I think this will be because that Kansas offense has been pretty dynamic. Texas at times has struggled scoring within games. It seems like they go long periods where they struggle and then they get quick bursts. Yeah. So I think they pull away late. I do think Kansas will cover. I think at the end of the day, though, I don't think Texas is ever really going to be in danger in this game. But I do think Kansas will cover in this one. All right, let's go to the next one. LSU, a 2.5-point favorite on the road against Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming off a loss to Alabama. LSU coming off a close win against rival Arkansas. But both teams really need this game, Papa Dude. Who gets it?
Huge game. The winner might win that side of the SEC. They might. Alabama's got something to say about that because they still play LSU. I'm going to take the team that's coming off a win rather than the team that's coming off a loss. I was not impressed one bit with Mississippi last week. They had Alabama right where they wanted them, and they did not rise up and beat them. In fact, Alabama kind of shoved them around a little bit.
Yep.
LSU had a hard-fought win over Arkansas, which is a tough game for them. For some reason, the Razorbacks played great in Baton Rouge. Couldn't quite carry it off, but I think they're going to use that momentum. I like LSU a lot in this one today to win.
I'm kind of with you. LSU defense looks like it does have problems. Arkansas gave them fits. I do believe Ole Miss will have more success offensively this weekend, but I'm with you. Ole Miss, I thought that was a big game for them last week to kind of come out and say, okay, we're kind of ready to not be like 8-4, 9-3 Ole Miss, but maybe compete. It maybe not win it, but compete for that side of the division. I thought they would beat Alabama. They kind of got rocked. And you kind of said it. They kind of got bullied. And that's kind of what they do when they play a team like Alabama. Fast forward to LSU, I don't think they've got quite what Alabama has up front defensively, but I still think they're going to be good enough to get it done. So give me LSU today as well.
Another reason I'm going to say this, I'm not saying Lane Kiffin's not a good coach.
No, I think he's a good coach.
I think he does a good job, but I think he's vastly overrated. I don't think he's in the upper echelon of coaches. I think he does a good job. I think he's going to do well there, but I don't know if he's ever going to get that over the top. I don't think he's one of the greatest coaches that's ever lived.
Here's the deal. If Nick Saban went to Ole Miss, they'd probably win 8 or 9 games.
That's true.
There are some schools where it is really hard to get
Right.
past that barrier.
Yeah. But Kiffin
he
was
got
at
them
USC.
past that barrier. They did go to a New Year's Six bowl. They did win 10 games. It's just one of those schools. It's really hard to sustain 10-win seasons year after year at Ole Miss.
But he was at USC and didn't get it done. So
he was also like 12 years old when he was at USC.
Well,
like I don't know how he got that job, why he got that job.
Well, I don't either.
I think you kind of have to take him the Tennessee thing and the USC and the Raiders. It's like he was young, so
it was.
I don't think he's a Huffle. I
don't either. I just don't think he's as good as everybody thinks he is.
I think if he was at Alabama, he could win the national championship.
Well, there's a lot of guys that could win in Alabama.
I know, that's the point. I think a lot of time guys, it's kind of like the name just slipped me. Dan McCarty when he was at Iowa State, right?
Yeah.
Remember Dan McCarty was going to be like the greatest coach to ever live. He got Iowa State to 10 wins, and then he stayed too long, and then he got fired.
The guy that's there now.
Same thing with Matt Campbell. You know, every job, Matt Campbell, he's one of the best coaches of all time. And now they're going to have back-to-back losing seasons, most likely, and he can't get any job. You're a victim of where you're at a lot of times.
And the other thing is, too, that I was listening to the Sooner Scoop, and they had the guy on from Iowa State. I'm sure you heard it. And it was fascinating listening to him. He said the same thing. He goes, he's not in any danger at this time. And he can survive a losing season this year, probably too.
Yeah.
But if they don't get any better next year, the golden boy is suddenly going to be ran out of Ames, Iowa.
Yeah. And it's just you're a victim of where you're at. And
that's right.
That's why these guys have to get out when they get the chance at schools like that. And I'm not trying to be mean. I love Iowa State. I think their facilities are great. I think they should be right up there, but the fact is, for 100 years, that's just how it's been up there.
Yeah,
so it's
tough
to sustain.
I think he obviously, and you've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through there. It's really a neat place.
Yeah,
it's a good place to live. Iowa's a good place to live.
Mm-hmm.
He probably loves living there.
I would,
and that's why he hasn't left.
Yep,
because he was a hot commodity, and I don't know whether he got turned down for some of these jobs or he didn't try very hard. I don't know. But yeah, your coaching future depends on winning. I don't care where you're at.
Yep.
And, they have a good perspective up there. They want to be 8-4. They're satisfied with that and going to a bowl game. But he took them a little bit higher than that. They were down to a 1-possession game against Oklahoma would have been to win the Big 12 Conference Championship. Yep. They went to the Fiesta Bowl. I think they won it, didn't they? Didn't they win a big bowl game?
Yep.
Okay, when you get to there, now suddenly everybody thinks, God, we can do this every year, and you can't.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And it's definitely crazy to think about that. And and like we always say on our other show, and the guy who cost Iowa State the Big 12 championship game and many games over his college career, Brock Purdy, who is now one of the better starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So,
and I'll say this too: the guy at Kansas better get his ass out of there, and don't stay too long as well.
Ask anybody that's ever coached there; it's the same thing. Mark Mangino won the Orange Bowl, incredible season. Fired him like 2 or 3 years later. I mean, it's a cycle. Yeah. All right, let's go back. Notre Dame. We'll go to the final rate game. Notre Dame and Duke here. Notre Dame on the road, 5.5-point favorite at Duke. What a huge game. College game day is there. The headgear will go on for Lee Corso here in about an hour. Who you got, Notre Dame or Duke today?
I like Notre Dame. We talked about it on our show, comparing it to horse racing. The class usually comes through. I heard Coach Stoops on his prediction show. He said the same thing. He said eventually the size of Notre Dame will make a difference. If they don't turn it over and make a bunch of mistakes and give Duke some points. He made a comment. He said, of all the years and all the teams I saw, this was the biggest team across the lines that they played. They played them 2 or 3 times when Stoops was at OU. And he said I would look over there at them, and they're just massive across the front. I don't think Duke can handle that for an entire game. I think they're going to give him fits. I think it'll be a good game. I think the class will come through. And Notre
Tony
Dame
thinks the
will
basketball Blue Bloods will win outright tonight. That would be a big time win. Would that,
Well,
and forgive me, I am not up on the entire history of Duke football. Would this be the biggest win Duke's ever had?
they were really good back in the 50s
Okay.
when things were different. Recruiting was different, all that stuff.
Yeah.
They were really solid back then, but it has not been there for a long, long time. Yes, definitely biggest win in Duke history since the 50s. If they can win this game tonight,
I think this is the key to the game. Car Ramrod thinks that Notre Dame's going to come out angry and play great. If they do, Duke's not going to win. If Notre Dame is hungover from it, they're sulking from it, they could get beat tonight. I think Notre Dame controls their fate. How they play is going to dictate the game. And you kind of alluded to it. If Notre Dame comes out, they struggle. They're not really into it. They have a couple turnovers. They're probably going to get ambushed. If Notre Dame is Notre Dame, I think they will come out and beat them. They'll find a way.
They're going to have to help Duke. They're going to have to help Duke.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. I think Notre Dame wins it.
And that's no knock on Duke. They're pretty good.
They're pretty good. They beat Clemson. I'm not sure what Clemson is. I think Notre Dame's a better team than Clemson. I think we're going to see that proven later on in the season. But listen, I may have Notre Dame overrated.
Possible.
I certainly feel like they should have won that game last week, and they didn't. So maybe at the end of this night, we'll say, hey, they should have beat Duke, but they didn't. They made mistakes, and they didn't do it. So I think it's a very intriguing game. That's going to be a fun one. And I'm happy for people at Duke that are football fans. I don't know how many of you out there are, but I am happy for you guys because that is going to be a hell of an atmosphere tonight at Duke. All right, let's go to racing, and then we'll round back into some football to end us with the best bets. If I could talk right here. Let's go to Churchill Downs for this one. We're going to go Churchill Downs race 10 on the card, the Lucas Classic grade 2 event here, going a mile and an eighth, field of 9. Breeders' Cup Classic implications, possibly. We could possibly see a couple of these. Try it. Papa Dude, this seems like it could be an upset today. Where are you leaning in this one?
Oh, so I'm struggling with this one. Anytime McPeak is the favorite, I struggle. I think he's the favorite. He's right there if he's not.
He is.
That horse is pretty good, but it's up and down. What are you going to get? I think it's the best horse, but I'm going to try to beat it. I don't like Warrant. That's another one. The horse will run like he always does.
Mm-hmm.
They don't win very much.
Just to jump in, I thought about Warrant. It's really hard to pick Warrant when he couldn't win the Governor's Cup, right?
Exactly.
At Remington last time.
It's one of those horses that, he's okay, but he's not good. I'll be really surprised if he wins this one. I'm looking here at Rattle and Roll. Golly, he's just so up and down. He runs good, but I think he's the best horse in this field if he'll run good. So I'm looking at the 9 American Revolution, and again, I'm not crazy about this horse as well. Did you look at the 7 at all?
Yeah.
I like the way the horse is running. I don't usually pick a 12-1, but I don't really like the favorites in this one. So Wayland Springs has been first, second, and first the last 3 races. I know they haven't been what this race is, but I don't think this feels that good. I'm going to take a shot at the 7, Wayland Springs.
I think it's a good pick. I actually had a friend text me about 45 minutes ago that handicaps all these races every day as well. And he's like, I am definitely taking a shot with the 7. And the point was, just like you said, 2 out of the last 3, and the loss came to Proxy. You'd probably pick, or maybe you wouldn't pick Proxy in this race.
Oh, I would.
Favorite. He would be the favorite for sure.
Yeah, I would.
So that was kind of his point. Yeah, I think Wheeling Springs of 7 is a really good pick. Nothing bad to say about that one. And to your point on the 7, the horse Wheeling Springs of 7 just barely beat the horse that Rodney points out, the number 5 Trademark.
Mm-hmm.
That's another horse I think you got to think about in this one. Both 12-1. Trademark 2 races back did win at at Horseshoe Indianapolis, and then, like I said, got beat by Wheeling Springs. It was close. It was competitive. So Rodney, I don't hate that pick either. You mentioned American Revolution. I don't know what he is anymore. That race last time out at Saratoga was beyond brutal. And it wasn't against anybody that was very good. He just didn't pick up his feet. I worry that he might do that again here. I don't know. I don't think he'll win. It's a horse I liked a long time ago. I don't know about now. Happy American running fresh, but Happy American's been defeated by Rattle and Roll pretty easily in the last 3 races. So I'm not sure about that either. Look, I think Rattle and Roll's best race will win. I just do. I hate that race last time out at Saratoga was brutal. It was bad. I just feel like his other races will win this one. So I put Rattle and Roll, but I'm using the 5, I'm using the 7, and I'm using the 1 as well. So I'm going to try to get out Warrant, get out Clapton, get out American Revolution, try to play those longer shots there with Rattle and Roll. I just think, for me, Rattle and Roll, he's way better than this group. And he's kind of proven it, but he's going to have to run a lot better than he did last time. And maybe he didn't like Saratoga. Maybe he didn't like 1.25 miles. At this distance, that's another thing he's been really good at. So we'll see. I'm going to go Rattle and Roll, and I'm going to use Happy American, Trademark, and Wheeland Springs in the underneath spots. All right, let's go to the Awesome again. Double race of the day, as we're going to go to the Awesome again. Another Breeders' Cup Classic win, and you're in here. Field of 9, once again for this one, we're going 1 1/8 at Santa Anita this time. It's race 8 on the card there at Santa Anita. I don't know. I think this one could be a little tricky as well. What do you think, Papa Dude?
Well, pretty much the same. I think you got to try to beat the favorite, which is Defunded. Are you surprised at 2-1?
Fair. Well, he's ran okay at Santa Anita, so I'm not shocked. But I think it's right. I do think he will go off the favorite.
Okay, he has run there. So, but these last 2 races haven't been great. They haven't been awful. The last one was lost by 10 lengths in the, the Pacific Classic.
Yeah.
You got to run better than that, don't you, to be the favorite in this?
You would think, yeah.
I would think. So I don't like that at all. Of course, I don't know. He was wide most of the race, so didn't get a good trip. Slow down, Andy. I can't pick a horse that's got a name Slow Down. I don't like slow in any part of it. I know what that means, but he's okay. He was 3rd in the Pacific Classic, that's all right. He lost to the 1. What was it? San Diego Handicap.
Yep.
Lost to the 1, which I've always liked, Senor Buscador.
Yep.
A lot. 4th in the Classic. That's not awful. He's only 2 lengths off after he had won the San Diego Classic. So I think you got to throw him in there. I'm going to go just because of Davey and Shoddy.
Oh, boy.
I know they love the horse. In tribute to them, and last weekend, I'm going with National Treasure is taking a flyer because it's their horse.
Well, here's the advantage. Here's the good. Well, there's 2 pieces of good news.
Okay.
The National Treasure gets Hernandez to ride. I thought that was very interesting because Hernandez has been riding Defunded, and now he jumps over to National Treasure. I thought that was interesting. I think that's a good sign for National Treasure. He also, I think getting back home makes him a little bit dangerous as well. I don't know. I just thought the move over for Hernandez made me take a second look at him. I'm not going to pick him, and then the third thing, the blinkers are on today, and we talked about it amongst each other down at Remington. It was weird that that the blinkers came off, but with the blinkers on, I think that makes him a little bit more dangerous. We'll see. He's gonna need to run a hell of a lot better than he did these last 2 races. That's the key.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I didn't pick him. I am going to use him. Rodney's going Celestial Moon, the 6 horse. That's a horse that's coming off an allowance win. I like Glatt. I like Glatt as a trainer. I do not like that horse today, though. I went with the 3 Slow Down, Andy. To me, he's the most consistent of the group. We saw him run really well last couple of races there at Del Mar. We've seen him run very close to a lot of nice horses. It does kind of feel like it's a pick where he's going to run well and get second. I do kind of concede that he does that a lot. I just think he's got this race has got his name all over it. I think he'll like the mile and an eighth. I think he'll get out in front. I think he'll be hard to catch today. So I'm going to go number 3, Slow Down Andy on top. I do like Senior Buscador. I put him in second, almost picked him.
Yep.
We'll see. I don't know
He'll
if the
run
pace
good.
is going to set
He'll
up.
run good. Wouldn't you say?
What's that?
He'll run good.
Yeah.
He always does. So
yeah, I agree. I think he will run well, and he's going to make a move. I'm not sure if he gets all the way up there and gets the job done. Here it is. Slow Down Andy. I like that emoji form.
Yeah.
Before we get on to the best bets, Rodney has predicted that his Trojans will cover the point spread today. USC by 30, he says. Point spread's 21.5. Yeah, USC Colorado. That's a game that's not ranked versus ranked because Colorado's out of the top 25 now. What do you think about that one? I mean, is that going to be a blowout?
It should be. The only thing is their defense is so bad, USC. Yeah. But they should be far enough ahead that when Lincoln's defense goes to hell, that they got enough of a lead. I'm with Rodney. I don't know about 30, but I think it's 25 at least. I'm thinking 56-28, something like that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think the fact that Colorado's got all this hype will have USC ready to play.
Agreed.
The 10 o'clock kickoff, though, Rodney, is something to think about. I heard some guys talking about it. They're smarter than me. They're coaches saying it's tough to play at 11 o'clock, let alone 10. So they could be a little sluggish, but they're so much better than Colorado. I think they'll nail them.
Yep. I agree. I'm with you, Rodney. I do think USC gets it done. Yeah. I don't expect there to be too many anxious moments for the Trojans today. No. That's for sure. One quick update. Churchill Downs scratches are out. The number 3 Warrant will scratch out of the Lucas Classic. So if you were going to play number 3 Warrant, he is out. So a little bit of an update there as the scratches just came out for Churchill. No other notable scratches really as I look up and down the card. Should be pretty clean. But yeah, if you're playing Warrant, go ahead and not do that now. All right. One other thing I wanted to get to a comment from Tony. Tony was when we were talking about Texas and Kansas. He said if Oklahoma was good, this would be a look-ahead game for Texas. So here, if you're going to play the Oklahoma game today, here's a stat for you. In Oklahoma's last 6 games before the Texas game, they are 1-5 against the spread. Right now, Oklahoma 19.5-point favorite. OU is 4-0 this year against the spread. I would go against Oklahoma against the spread today. Iowa State usually plays us tough. We've had trouble in those games before Texas. What do you think? Does OU cover today?
Well, I think that's a good point. If they were good, they're not. They're good. No, wait a minute. Let me back up. They're good. They're not great. Yeah, they're good. There's nothing wrong with this team. Well, you can shake your head all you want, but they're 4-0. They're playing all right. There's a lot of teams that are worse than they are.
There's a lot of teams worse than OU. OU, who they've played is not.
This is true, but they have beat them. And they're okay. So I think because of that reason, they still respect people. And I don't think they're looking ahead because I think that coaching staff is savvy enough to convince them that you better be ready for whoever you play because you're not great at this time. So I'm not really afraid of them looking ahead. If they get beat tonight, it's not because of that. It's because they're going to just screw around and get beat.
Yeah, I don't think they're looking ahead either, but I think for this OU team, 19.5 is going to be tough for them to cover now that they're into the actual. Iowa State's not that good really, but still, this isn't Tulsa, this isn't Arkansas State. No. I just think this OU team will have trouble beating teams by more than that. So.
Let me ask you that, Aaron. We've seen Cincinnati now 2 weeks in a row. I think they're better than 2 and 3. They cannot finish drives. They are awful in the red zone.
I think they
They
have
have
some
quarterback issues.
skill. I think they have some skill. I think their quarterback is a nice runner. I don't think he's a thrower, and I
He's
think
not.
that's where the problem starts.
Okay, so do you think Iowa State at the end of the year will be better than Cincinnati? I kind of do.
I think Iowa State has had so many problems coming into the season because of that gambling situation. Maybe some of their young guys get a little better. I think they're
going to get better.
comparable. Let's put it that way.
I think, and I don't think Cincinnati is very well coached.
I don't think Cincinnati is either, and I don't think they're very good.
I don't know why they hired that guy.
I don't either.
He was ran out of Louisville, basically.
Yeah.
And Louisville wasn't upset to lose him.
No.
And there, for a large part of that game last night, they dominated the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think up front they're still really good.
They are. They should have won that game. They're better than BYU.
Most of that game, if you watch it, they look like they had the better athletes.
Oh, they did. They should have been. They should have been ahead at halftime. You can't get that field goal and go up 10-7 and then let BYU who had done nothing offensively.
Yeah.
Their 7 points was an interception return. You can't do that and let them go right down the field in 44 seconds and take the lead at halftime. You can't do that.
Well, I agree. I was watching that game and I thought you were in some trouble because they kind of looked better. But yeah, maybe it is the coaching. Honestly, they could have beaten Oklahoma.
Cincinnati?
Yeah, I mean, if Cincinnati could have made, like you said, could have made a few plays on offense, they would have beat them.
Well, I will admit, I think the quarterback situation is a problem for them, for sure. And that's maybe why they can't finish anything, because he can't make a play. But their play calling in the red zone is terrible. It's
interesting that they run him until they get to the red zone.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I would run the quarterback a lot in the red zone.
And Rob makes a good point. If this is true, and I trust him, a lot of his assistants stayed at Louisville. Why don't you go with the coach?
Well, I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. And listen, I don't think Louisville's.
I don't either. I don't know enough about it, and I shouldn't be running my mouth. But I think they've got better athletes than what they're playing.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get out of here. Let's go to the my best bet here. We'll go to the best bets. I'm going to go to Santa Anita today. Race 3 on the card. I'm going to go number 4, Northeast Star, as mine here. Gets back to 6 furlongs, and I think that's what this horse needed. Came over to the United States, debuted at 6 furlongs at Santa Anita on May 21st. Ran very well, got third, only beaten 3 1/4. Easily the best race of this horse's career. Went to Del Mar, tried a mile twice. Didn't run very well either time. Got 5th both of those races. I think cutting back to 6 furlongs and also finding a field today that kind of leaves a lot to be desired. I don't think there's much in here. I think, the stablemate of the 4 could be the biggest concern today. So I'm going to go the 4, Northeast Star, on top in the 3rd race here at Santa Anita for my best bet of the day. All right, we'll go to Magic next. We're talking football. Clemson, Syracuse, under 53 for Magic today. Papa Dude, you can speak on this one a little bit. What do you think about this one? Now, you kind of talked about you thought Syracuse might upset Clemson. What do you think about the total?
Yeah, I like the total too. That's a good bet, I think. Pretty solid. I think if it gets above that, Syracuse might be in trouble. I think they've got to keep it in the 40s, 24, 21, something like that. I think Clemson wins, but one of my best bets today is Syracuse plus the 7. I think this is going to be close.
Yep, you like Syracuse today. I don't know about that one. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I do like the total, 53. I think that game does scream under. All right, you're going with an obscure one today. Tell us about your best bet.
Well, I've done well with these obscure ones.
Yep.
So a couple I do like. I think Arkansas will cover that today. They're 6.5 underdogs. It's down to 5.5. Like now, I got them at 6.5 against Texas A&M. I don't know how good A&M is. So key with Arkansas is, can they bounce back after a heartbreaker last week and the week before, for that matter? They always play well in Arlington. Many times they should win the game and they don't, but they usually play closer than 5.5, 6.5, whatever you can get it. I don't know. The 5.5 worries me a little bit, but the 6.5 I liked. I think they're going to go in there and play well. I don't know how good the other team is. Here's another one. You're going to laugh your ass off on this one. But I was just kind of looking through Nebraska's team total is 9.5 at home. I don't know if they get it, but anytime I see a single digit team total, you got to take it, I think. I think you got to take it. So I like that one today too. I would like to bet against Iowa today, not to lose, but to not cover. Because last week's offensive performance has got to be one of the worst in the history of college football, modern day college football. But Michigan State is in a shambles, and I don't know what you're going to get out of them. Anyway, I went with Georgia State, which is an up-and-coming program. They're undefeated. They have a couple of nice wins. They're playing Troy today. Troy's been a little bit of a disappointment. They're 1-2, I think. I think they're 2-2 now. But they have lost a couple of big games at Kansas State. That's no disgrace, but they didn't play very well. A lot of people, including me, thought they'd play that game close. They didn't. And then I think it was Coastal Carolina beat them. This game's in Atlanta, where Georgia State is. It's a huge game in the Sun Belt Conference. They're only 1-point favorites. I like them a lot. I think they're going to beat Troy. So I'm going to take Georgia State over Troy in my obscure best bet of the day.
All right, Georgia State -1. Yeah, they gave it to Coastal Carolina last week at Coastal. They played really well. Bounce back here, doesn't get any easier. Got to have to play Troy, who's been really good in this conference for a long, long time. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that one. Georgia State and Troy. That's a 6 p.m. Central kickoff. If you want to play that one. All right, let's go. Let's review the best bets today. Get you out of here for another day of Dudes Who Bet Daily. I'm going to go Santa Anita Race 3, the number 4 Northeast Star. Magic going to go Clemson Syracuse under 53 today. Papa Dude's going Georgia State -1. We'll see if Georgia State can get it done against Troy. We're 2-3 for the week. Not great. Down $110. Still up $80 for the year, though. So still in the positive. And there you go. The bonus bet of the day. Magic is going to go is WNBA best bet did cash yesterday. Liberty -4. I thought he was giving us another one. He's not.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, he didn't pick that as the best bet.
I know. Everything he said on the show cashed yesterday except his best bet.
I know. It always does.
I had 3 horse racing plays up on the site on the best bets. 2 of them cashed at 7-5, and then the one I used for the show lost. So Magic and I had one of those days where we cashed everything, but we didn't cash the best bet on the show. He doesn't have a pick because there is no WNBA game today. It's tomorrow. The Liberty and the Sun tomorrow. Let's see. New York leads the series 2-1. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, that'll do it. We got to get out of here. We got to get down to Norman. Everybody have a good Saturday. Good luck to everybody. Hope everybody has a fun day, and hopefully, you cash your bets, whether it be college football, baseball, or horse racing. All right. We'll see you guys right back here tomorrow.